Good afternoon, John. Welcome to the 6 Simple Questions. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yep, my name's John Kelsey, and I run a business called Sequel Communications, which is a marketing communications business. So all things advertising, basically. Do a lot of work within the sort of media planning and buying field, working with clients who are sort of already reasonably well established, have got a business plan that allows for growth, recognize that they need to invest more in their marketing communications to help them achieve that, but need help and advice and assistance to plan it and implement it. My background's sort of big ad agency networks that I was in for more years than I care to remember. And now I'm working independently.
Great. So I was going to ask you, how did you end up starting up the business then?
As I say, I was in big international agency networks, big corporates, for a long time, dealing with multinational advertisers and multi-million pound advertisers. And the opportunity came for me to leave in a way that suited them and suited me, should we say. And I'd got a bit fed up with what I'd politely term the corporate bollocks. And everything that goes with big organizations. And so I went, I'm gonna just get out of this and let's do something else. And for a while I just went, well, I'm just going to take a bit of time off, to be honest. I hadn't done that before. And then went, okay, now I need to do something. I'll set up on my own. Recognized actually that a lot of the big agency networks were taking on clients of a size which they couldn't really service because they were too small.
Right.
But a lot of clients went, oh, we want to be part of the big agency network scene because it was seen to be the right thing for them to do. But they were effectively, their accounts were being run by very junior people in the business because the business couldn't afford to put any more senior people on. So they weren't actually getting the sort of expertise that they really thought they were getting and indeed needed. So my feeling is that actually what I can deliver is that whole sort of big agency expertise and thinking, but deliver it in a way for clients who are not of the size that big agencies would take seriously.
That's right. And you're not the only member to have said that similar pattern, funnily enough. It's interesting that we've had a few members that dropped out the large corporate lifestyle and said more or less the same thing, that they're giving more value for money. Yeah, so.
I think it's interesting also that when you're in the big corporate scene, that becomes your norm.
Yes.
And you accept the things that go with it. It's only when you have left it you go, oh, thank God I'm not doing that anymore.
It gives you a different lifestyle, doesn't it, being self-employed? You put in the hard work.
It comes with different problems, but because it was a bit of a shock that when I wasn't getting a paycheck on a certain day of the month.
and being paid for holidays isn't interesting. You could.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Whatever happened to that? Yeah.
Yes. I know it well. So, as you know, with the business network, we like to find a bit more personal things out about our members. So, when you've got a bit of spare time, do you have any passions or hobbies that you like to do?
Yeah, I do actually. I sing in a men's a cappella choir. Based in Bolton. I don't live in Bolton, I live about 40 minutes away from Bolton, but we go there, usually we'd be there every Tuesday rehearsing. We're about 60 people strong,
right?
Looking to grow to 100.
Yeah.
We do sort of 4-part close harmony type stuff, so it's quite intricate. And we compete in national and international competitions, and we've sort of won, awards in the UK, plenty of times. So we're sort of pretty good at what we do, and I absolutely love it.
Great. And have you been able to do that virtually since the
we
lockdown?
have? We have. It's really tricky though, because you can't actually sing together through Zoom because everybody's connection is slightly different and there's slight delays, so you can't do it. But what we did do is we did a virtual performance as part of the BBC's Big Night In fundraiser a few weeks ago. So we recorded a version of Beach Boys' God Only Knows What I'd Do Without You, as a thank you to NHS and key workers. And basically everybody recorded their own part in isolation at home. Sent it through to one of our guys who's sort of up with audio tech, who basically combined all the individual tracks into one. And then we did a video Zoom call to create some video to go with it, and put it out to raise money. We've raised over £2,000 so far.
Fantastic. Right.
And it was, I'll send you the link actually.
Please do, and I'll pass it around the membership. That'd be super.
But the great thing about singing is I mean, when you're doing it together, there's something magical that happens when there's like 60 of you all singing in unison. And it's it's almost a therapy sometimes. If you've had a really rubbish day, you can go to rehearsal, clear everything out, and come away from that feeling fantastic.
Great.
So I would encourage anybody who's got any interest in singing just to go for it. Give it a go. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, I listen to a few podcasts. Do you listen to anything in particular? Any you'd like to recommend?
Yeah, I've only recently started getting into podcasts. And one that I particularly like is one called 13 Minutes to the Moon. And it's a BBC one. And it's basically all about the moon landing and the last 13 minutes of the moon landing. But of course, it goes into all the background, and there's loads of audio in real time from the behind the scenes of when it was all happening, interviews with key people. It's absolutely fascinating. And I think the first series, which was all about the original moon landing, I think it was about 12 or 13 episodes, each of about 45 minutes. So and you really, really get into it. And they've also done a follow-up now with Apollo 11, with all the problems that happened on Apollo 11. Now they got Apollo 11 back to Earth. It's really, really interesting.
Have to look out for that one. And books. Have you got a book you'd like to recommend?
Yeah, there's a book that I read last year called Bad Blood, which is it's written by a journalist, and it's about a company called Theranos in the US, who became a Silicon Valley darling, and they had a technology which was simplifying blood testing to make it quicker, cheaper, less invasive, and they got to the point where they got enough investment that they valued the company at like $9 billion. And the founder was a young entrepreneur called Elizabeth Holmes, and she was worth like, $4.5 billion. The only problem was the technology didn't exist. It was all a big front, and it was fascinating who the investment they got in, the people they got to back them, all the infighting that went in, and how the thing eventually imploded. It was one of those books, and once I started reading it, it was like, I can't put this down. It's really good.
Right. Yeah. Another one I'll have to look out for now. Yeah. And finally, any words of wisdom? It doesn't have to be about lockdown. It could be just something you want to share with us.
I must admit, I'm not a big one for sort of these sorts of sayings and phrases and stuff about how you should live your life. But I suppose that the only thing for me is just be yourself, because if you're not, you get found out in the end, and it makes life a lot more difficult. So just be true to yourself. Get to the end of the day, look yourself in the look, as long as you can sleep at night and look yourself in the mirror and go, I'm fine with this. Then do that. Yeah.
Completely agree with that. That's brilliant. Well, thank you so much for taking part with the session. And you'll be all over social media next week. So thank you very much, John. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Simon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.